Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the latest installation of our Southwestern District Leadership Training classes, online classes. Today, we have the special privilege of having a class covering how to use Facebook to promote your chapter. Our presenter today is Dominic Finetti. He is the special media strategist for the Southwestern District, and I'll let Dom do a little bit more of an intro bio in just a minute here. Just a couple things I want to cover off on. First of all, we're going to have about 45 minutes of content for Dom's presentation, and then we will do about a 15-minute question and answer session at the end. This session is being recorded, so we will be posting this to our YouTube channel later on today on our Southwestern District Leadership Training YouTube channel, which you can go back and review, or if for anyone that happened to miss the live class, it will be available for going back and reviewing later. If you have a question throughout the course of the presentation, down on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a number of buttons down there, one of which is a chat button. If you would simply please click into the chat button. If you have a question, post it there. If I can answer the question straight away, I will do so. Otherwise, I will queue it up, and then when we get to the Q&A session at the end, I will go on ahead and present those questions, because just for the sake of keeping a clean recording, I do have all participants except for the presenter muted. So with that, I will turn it over again to our social media strategist for the Southwestern District, Don Finetti.
Cool. Thank you, Scott. Yes, if any of you don't know me that well, I think you probably all do, it looks like. These are all faces I know. But for anyone watching online, my name is Dominic Manny, and I'm basically, as Scott put it, the social media strategist for Facebook, or for all social media for SWD, actually. Not to say that I'm the only person that supports that, but I'm kind of the designer, if you will, of what our yearly plans are. At least as of now, I am. And so this is something I get questions about a lot. Is kind of how to set up a Facebook page, or what's the best way to do it. Maybe you already have one and it's not doing what you want it to do. And so I feel like having a presentation like this to go back and review it would be really helpful to a lot of you. So hopefully you get a kick out of it. There is a lot of content in here. I'm going to try to go through it as fast as I can, but also without, without skipping too much. So if anything needs more elaboration, or if you need me to repeat myself, that's totally fine. You just raise your hand, and happy to do that. But for the sake of time, why don't I just jump right in. So as Scott said, I do have a little bit of information about myself here to kind of give you a better idea of who I am, and I created this kind of fake Facebook page, if you will, to describe me. And so as you'll see in this information section here, I've got close to 10 years of experience in social media marketing and online community management. I'm currently a full-time employee at Cisco, a very well-known global IT networking company, as a social media program manager, specifically for their early in career sales program. So my main goal is to try to help them get more candidates for their sales trainee program. And then I got a degree in music industry with a concentration in social media and live events from California State University, Chico. I've competed with 3 top 15 courses at BHS International. So Space City was the most recent this past summer. And then before that, I've competed with THX out of Florida. And before that, Voices in Harmony out of the Bay Area. I've helped manage a number of social media accounts for notable names like Cole Kitzmiller from Instant Classics, so his business page, as well as the Top 10 Quartet, Rooftop Records, to name a few. I'm currently the social media strategist for the Southwestern District, but I'm also a baritone and the social media manager for the Houston Metro chapter, Space City Sound. And I do have some contact info there for you, but it's going to be at the end of the call as well, so don't worry about writing it down. It'll be at the end. But that's basically me. But to jump right in, why your organization should have a Facebook presence. And I did it from a small business perspective, because I think not enough courses do this. I think people don't realize how much your Facebook page for your course can reflect the Facebook page of a business. And I figure if the ones that are really successful are the ones that are businesses, why shouldn't we do the same thing for our chapter? And so, the first thought would be, you need to learn your target audience, just like any business would. You need to know, what what are the people that we're trying to connect with, through our Facebook page. And for me, I think it can be a number of demographics, but I find that the best way to break it down would be ticket sales for shows, right? Or even just people that can come and watch rehearsal just for fun. And then also potential members. Those are the two categories I think that is best to break it down. And so once you have that in mind, then you can also kind of break that down even farther and say, okay, well, who is our ideal member? Who is our ideal audience member? And and understanding that is really important. And it can really make or break the effectiveness of what you're doing on Facebook. So, but having a page will allow you to learn what that is, because some people may not know. You may not realize what your perfect audience is, and so having a page can help you figure that out. Two, it humanizes your organization. I think this is a huge thing. I think people can get too serious. I think people forget that this is a hobby sometimes. And having a Facebook page kind of gives you an opportunity to connect with people at a one-on-one level and remind them that we're just a bunch of guys or women, because now we have mixed chapters, guys or girls who are just want to have a good time, and we love singing, And so I think having a Facebook page can give you an opportunity to remind them of that. That's why you should share photos and videos and event links and maybe there's a cool voice class, or maybe that one of your members is teaching, or maybe they're teaching private lessons, and you want to push that out to the members. I mean, that's you can talk about it in a way where it's like, here's let's say it was Peter, and you say, our one of our own, Peter, is running this online class, and we think it'd be great for you to check out. And it's like being able to step out of your organizational shell for a moment and talk about what you guys are doing from that kind of one-on-one perspective, I think is a big difference. And so personify that as you will. Build an online community. So this kind of goes hand in hand with humanizing your organization, and it's basically what kind of organization do you want, or excuse me, what kind of community do you want to build around your organization? I think the best chapter is one that is more than just a group of guys that sings. I think it's having an identity, having a personality, understanding what makes you unique compared to others. I think Scott would agree that marksmen are in some ways are similar to other courses, but in some ways marksmen are very different, and they created some traditions and some reasonable expectations for their course that maybe other courses don't do. And I think all of our courses are in that regard. So what is the online community you want to build, and if you want to build it, having a Facebook page is a great place to start. It's great for search engine optimization. Now I know this is a little bit technical, and as some of you might have heard it before, it's also called SEO. And so the first question you should ask yourself is, do I even know what SEO is? And if you don't, that's okay. It's totally fine. There's a lot of resources online to learn more about it, but essentially it is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of your of basically your reach, your notoriety on your website through organic search engine results. So search engine results are basically like when you go to Google and you type in any search, and whatever pops up, depending on who pops up first, that determines our SEO basically. So let me show you one example, just because I think that's the easiest way to go about it. I'll exit my presentation for 1 second, and why don't I show you really quick. I apologize for all these tabs, but if I go to Google really quick and I want to search Space City Sound, we're going to find out right now if I'm doing my job properly. So we'll see. Space City Sound. There you go. So this is, thank goodness it turned out great. So the first one is our Facebook page, which is what I was hoping for, because our Facebook page is effectively our website right now. Our new website is currently being worked on, but our main site is Facebook. And so I was hoping it pop up first, and it did. The very first thing you see in that search result is it starts to be the address and the time of our rehearsal. So that's super awesome, because that's like very effective. And somebody might not even take the time to actually click on the page, but they might go ahead and look up what this address is, because that's all they have time for. And then they look us up and they know we're rehearsing, seconds later. It also talks about how many likes we have, which is good. It shows that we aren't just an empty page. And it gives a really quick breakdown of who we are. We are a acapella chorus in Houston. Rehearsals on Thursdays. It's very, very short and sweet. We also have some videos that you can see pop up there, which is awesome, so they can watch a video of us. We have our meetup page is next, which is awesome. I'm glad that's the next thing. And then the third thing is actually our website that isn't even launched yet. And then and then from there it moves on to the Barbershop Wiki page for us, our LinkedIn, our Twitter. We even have a SoundCloud. I don't run that, but I think it might be. I think it might have some rehearsal recordings on there. But the point is, our SEO is pretty good considering we haven't really invested much money or time into it. But it's popping up, at the top of his results, and so that may not be the same thing for everybody, And so if you search yourself and you find that your course is pretty far down the list, maybe there's some things you can do, to do better and have better results. So having a Facebook page is a great place to start to get yourselves in those top results. Next, I think this is a great one. It's your competition already has one. And now competition is obviously more of a business term. And, we're all brothers in harmony and sisters in harmony, so we're not competing with each other exactly. We compete at international, but other than that, we're all here to have a good time. But I do think it's something that you guys can learn from, the idea of competition. So instead of competition, maybe think about it as allied courses that are already doing a great job. So for instance, Marketing and Space City have a great relationship. We actually did a course back and forth, if you will, like a set for set performance last July in Orlando, and that was super fun to kind of get a first-hand look at their set, and they can see ours after that. But since then we've had a really good relationship. We're trying to set up a show together, hopefully in the next year. So while they are friends of ours, they also might do some great things that we can learn from, and vice versa. And so if you can always bank on some other chorus in your district already does a great job or has a social media presence. So that's a reason enough to get on there. But then two, it might be an opportunity to go and learn from what they're doing and make sure your Facebook page is up to par, so to speak. And then lastly, make profit. And this is always last on the list, I think, for social media when it comes to businesses, because I think businesses inherently join social media because it's free. I think that's the main reason that you join. But then the goal would be to basically not invest money to join and create your page, but then hopefully maybe invest a little bit of money and make a bunch of money back. I think that's kind of the last thing, the last priority for most businesses, because they don't have to do that, but if they can make profit, that'd be great. And so, basically the question then is, how can we use our Facebook page to generate profit? And there are some things you can do to make that happen. And Space City, has done that kind of. So I'll break that down as well. But the synopsis of how you can do that is two things. One, it's advertising for various things, different events where you can potentially sell tickets. And two, it's if you're getting more members, you're making more profit. So assuming you have dues, you're making more profit by getting more members. So that's my two thoughts for how you can profit from Facebook. But to kind of go into to some kind of more hands-on examples, I have some examples of three great Facebook pages that I think would be a really, really good ones to base off what you're doing. So really quick, let me open up this one. This is Fog City Singers. They are a chorus out from the Bay Area. There are a lot of my friends are in this group because I actually sing with kind of basically Voices in Harmony in the South Bay. Used to have a lot of members from Fog City, but they wanted to create a new chorus out in SF that was an easier commute. And these are a great group of guys, really good singers. I'm sure some of you have seen before. They're in their top 10 right now of choruses. And I admit, a lot of their guys are younger, so that might be a part of the reason why they're kind of tech savvy and can do a great job. But I don't think it is a requirement. I think that you can be any age and do a great job. And to be fair, they do have some older members, so they're not just young guys. So right off the back, you go in and the first thing you see is this awesome cover page. And it has the Barbershop Harmony Society logo in the background. And it has them kind of standing proudly, on the stage. So we already, even if you're not a barbershopper, you probably can guess that this performance was like a big deal. just from the photo they chose. I think that's a really great first impression.
Dom, right now we're just seeing your,
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to move it over. Good point. There you go. Sorry about that. Thank you for calling that out, Scott. I got a little ahead of myself. So here's the page. Sorry. As I said before, this is a great photo straight from the PHS from International that kind of shows, who they are. And I think gives non-barber shoppers even, a good sense of what they're all about. And then there's also this great logo that they have that I don't know if one of their own guys did it or if they hired someone, but it's short or excuse me, it's simple and concise, but it's very professional. It's very it reminds me of like a logo that you might see for a business. And so I think that's another reason why I wanted to kind of wrap in how to think about your core from a small business perspective, because the more professional you can make it look, whether or not you're professional in rehearsal, that's irrelevant. If you can look professional online, it's going to draw people. So I think having a logo like this is super beneficial. If you scroll down, you see that they have some videos they posted. Most recently, they posted a video on the 1st. They actually haven't been super active in the last couple of weeks, but I find that their posts go kind of like this. It's very sometimes they post a lot, sometimes they're a little bit slower. But when they do post, they're great. They're very informative. They have a lot of information about their upcoming shows. They do rehearsal videos where they're preparing for their performances. And if you scroll down farther, you'll see that they do a lot. They do this fun thing where they created a flyer for one of their shows, for their auditions, and they left like an Easter egg in the flyer, for this event. And so it's basically a word search. And so they're really funny guys and they're very clever. And so they basically somehow someone thought of the idea of turning this flyer into a word search, and the word you can find is word search. Just really oddball and not even barbershop related, but it's eye-catching and funny. And I think thinking about your business from that perspective, or excuse me, not business, but your chapter from that perspective, can go a long way. So don't be afraid to step outside of the barbershopper shell and just create a page that works, and don't think that you have to follow so many rules. That's another reason why I think they're great, is that these guys are not really a barbershop chorus. They compete at international and district, but they do a lot of choral music and a lot of modern a cappella stuff. And so they don't find that they need to follow the expectations that maybe VHS gives them. They just kind of do what works. And I think that's a really good lesson to learn for our chapters as well. Let me go to the next example here. So the next one is actually a course called New Tradition Course. They're out of Chicago area. And I picked them because they're doing a good job now, and in the past that they haven't done as good of a job. And so they've made some really good strides and improvements in the last year or two that have shown that even if you've done maybe a not so great job in the past, you can always improve. And so I thought that was a good lesson to learn here. And so I know that the main reason that they did this, in part, was because they have a new director. They have Dan Wessler from After Hours as their director. And so having a guy like that at the helm definitely is a way to kind of light a fire under you, so to speak. And so I think they wanted to capitalize upon that. And so they started making a bigger impact on social media because of it. But if another great photo here at the top really captures who they are. They're a large chorus. They're a professional chorus because they look great, in those outfits. And then it's kind of funny. Their logo is, basically the new Tradition Chorus. And so they kind of followed that small business perspective of, can we show that, can we show that we are rebranding a little bit, and they kind of just threw it out there, right in the forefront of the audience's view. And I think maybe it's a little cheesy, but I think it totally works. I'm down for it. But if you scroll down, they've got their events set up, which is great. So the first thing you see is upcoming events of April, May, what they're participating in next. Scroll down farther, there's some videos that you click on one, and you can see that you've got, for instance, this is a rehearsal video, and if I skip to the middle, you can see a shot of Dan talking. And so I think he might have his medal on possibly, which is great. So if you are a barbershopper and you move to Chicago and you want to potentially join the course there, seeing someone like Dan, in the very first video you see, directing is probably going to be pretty inspiring and interesting, and make you want to join. Next photo is, you've got this, a photo from their one of their quartets practicing for Brigade, which is really cool. they kind of step out of their shell for a minute and just focus on their members, which is cool. It doesn't always need to be from a global perspective. You don't always have to show what the course is doing. It can be about individual members and quartets. And if you just take some time and go through, you'll see they're doing a lot of great things. They're using hashtags. They're sharing YouTube videos. This is a chiefs of staff video. So they just wanted to share some great barbershop. They don't even need to necessarily be related to New Tradition. And it gets great results. 32 reactions, a comment. It's very relatable stuff. And so,
Dom, one of the things that I really like that I see about this page is that they're focusing on the word social. They're being social. They're not just making it about themselves, which is a huge part to me of social media.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I think we get in this mindset sometimes with social media in general, but also specifically Facebook, that we have to just post when we are like doing something, like only on the important stuff, or we just post to post. And that's not what it needs to be. You can always come up with a new reason to post. And that's the first thing is you have a reason to do something. And as long as you have a reason behind it, it's probably relevant. So like, for instance, this one is a member feature, and they have this awesome hashtag WeAreNT. And so if you click on that hashtag, every post that pops up in that feed is going to be membership features. And so thinking about your content from that perspective is awesome. And then lastly, to go back to the last one here, these guys are actually from Adelaide. They're from Australia. Look, I don't expect everybody to be as good as these guys, but it's by far some of the best content I've ever seen from a course, and they're not even well known. I mean, you probably never even heard of these guys. They've never made it to international. And actually they have a very old fashioned name, but believe it or not, they actually have a lot of young guys. And so I think they may be an old chapter that kind of revitalized. And so now they're kind of I could be wrong, but I think that might be what happened. And so you'll just find that this is a very professional Facebook page, and their content is just freaking awesome. So immediately you see their logo, Festival State Record, which is very professional, very, very short and concise. And then you see this thing that says Choir Boys Now Playing. Now, I think this is just awesome. And the reason why it's theirs is more than one reason, I think. I think that they thought about this. I think they took a lot of time. It's, first of all, Choir Boys, just having that on the top of your page is super relatable to people that are non-barbershoppers. So from a membership perspective, it's awesome because they know immediately, oh, this is a choir. And we don't usually refer to ourselves as choirs in barbershop, but that's what's going to relate to people that are not in barbershop. Church singers, people that sing in high school, those people know choirs. I mean, a lot of people that go, oh, are you in a barbershop choir? And all I want to say is it's called a chorus, but I don't say it. I don't correct them because they're right. It's a choir. And so part of the reason I think is also branding is that people know what they are, but two, they actually starred this past week. They're finishing it up. They've starred in a musical that they have written. They've written and they're performing. It's like 5 performances in Adelaide, and it's a part of a larger festival of performances called Choir Boys. And so they are acting in it, they're dancing in it, they're singing in it, and it's this huge production. And now, obviously, having a Facebook page does not mean that you have to have a giant production number. However, what they did was they used Facebook. They used Facebook to do some really great promotion of it. And so, there's 2 lessons you can learn here. One, it's when I get down to the content, you'll see. One, you really can do some professional stuff. You can really make your course look high end, no matter what level you are. Even if you're not top 10, these guys are not top 10. They're honestly nobodies. And 2, this is an opportunity to maybe learn from them and go, oh, maybe there's a way I can work with some other organizations in town and do a joint festival as well because it works so well for them. But if you scroll down, first photos are just them in rehearsal. They're solid, high quality photos, but nothing fantastic. But they're probably maybe a good iPhone shot with them, and they're mid singing, and also this guy's smiling here, so you get some personality behind them. The next one is the event page for this Choir Boys musical, which once again they created a graphic for, very high end. Obviously you need to have a guy that can do this stuff. But my thoughts are, one, if you don't have somebody in-house that can do this, if you have the budget, hire someone. It's just worth it. You can probably find some college kid who'll do it for cheap, and you don't need a lot, but just kind of just trying to be more professional with your graphics and your content overall. is going to make a huge difference because it's going to outshine hundreds of other chapters who don't do that. So a little bit farther, there's like a video. It's like a teaser video for this choir boys thing. I can show you really quick. So like, I don't know, you probably can't hear it, but there's singing happening in the background of this, and it's them. It's a recording of them, and so it's like a montage video of them in rehearsal, and you're getting a kind of a simple idea of what the performance might be like, but it's literally just a combination of interview clips and rehearsal, and them just having fun, and it's stuff that we do every day at rehearsal we don't think about, and you don't need to have any direction. You can literally just shoot everything. And then after the fact, whoever makes the video can just put it together. The only thing you need to plan out are the interviews. But it's super effective. And I can tell you right now that just from like the lower third here, this text at the bottom, this was not super like over the top editing. This is probably done it might have been in like Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what I use for editing. But this also could have easily been like iMovie. Like it could have been very low level. It's literally just fades and like a default lower third with probably the default font. But it doesn't matter because it totally does the job. And I guarantee you it's outshines so many other videos that many courses do. The most important thing is that that what they're selling is obvious. They're selling tickets to the show, and they're telling people who they are. I won't spend a lot more time on here, but just go look at the Festival Statesman Chorus. It's a fantastic Facebook page. They post all the time, and it's just really good stuff. It's awesome. Any questions about them before I move on? Cool. All right, so next up, let me minimize this. Cool. So 5 things you should know before setting up a Facebook page for your organization. So 1, what are your goals? This is huge. Okay, I can't stress this enough. Don't just create a page to create a page. People do that, and that's the pages that don't get posted on for months. So just don't do it. You need to have a plan. Just like you plan out stuff for the year with your board, plan out your Facebook page the same. So if you don't have goals, you'll get nowhere. Secondly, let's see. Sorry about that. I got to text my girlfriend, so I was trying to mute my phone. What are courses like yours doing? So I kind of mentioned that earlier, but this is super important. So, if your sister or brother chorus is either in town or even the next city over, check out what they're doing. Go look at those pages I just talked about. See what they're doing right. It's an opportunity to not only learn what works, but also possibly capitalize on what's not working and do better. And really quick, remember that this does not just go for the best courses. Festival Statesmen are nobodies, but they kill on social media. So really be open-minded and take a look at many course pages, and I bet you'll learn something from each one. Next, what's your social media strategy? So this is really big. Having goals is great, but you can't just start there and that be it. You need to have a strategy. Stuff like, how much are you posting every week? What are you posting? What works best for your course? It may not work best for somebody else. Are you creating content that is getting engagement? And if you are, what about that is working? And that should be a part of your strategy. So my recommendation is start off with a strategy that you think will work, and then as you're posting, maybe tweak that strategy and move things around and learn from what's happening on your page. But if you don't have a strategy in place, you're never going to stick to something. If you don't tell yourself, I'm going to post every week, then you're not going to post every week. It's just how it is. I'm a prime example. I do my best in Space City, but it's hard sometimes. I'm really busy, so I don't post weekly, and I wish I did. But I do my best, And so if you can't do every week, it's okay, but just be reasonable and set your expectations and commit to those expectations.
Tom, do you feel it's a good idea to build out a calendar? So in other words, saying like I'm going to post something that's newsworthy from the chorus every Saturday, and I'm going to post just something fun from the chorus on Tuesday, and I'm going to post something that I've seen around the web on somebody else's page on Thursdays, and just build that calendar out. And then as you're prepping, you can always be saying, hey, here's something that I caught my eye today, and it'd be great for me to post next Thursday. Right?
Sure. No, you're spot on there, Scott. I would say yes. However, I with a kind of a thought behind it, like a what's the word? It's a with a requirement.
Like a caveat?
Yeah. Caveat. Don't plan to schedule the same thing or the same kind of thing every week unless you, like you said, are planning to post fun things in between. So, for instance, I've seen courses post a newsletter every Sunday before, but that's all they post, and it's like a feed of newsletters. That is not good. That is like honestly almost worse than posting every few months, because people are going to get bored and unfollow you real quick because they don't want to read just a bunch of text. They want fun stuff. They want tangible content. So if you want to post some sort of like update every week, that's no problem. But then make sure that you're posting more fun stuff throughout the week, or make sure the update is unique every time. So like it might feature a photo of the tenors one week, but the next week it's a photo of the director, and it's just vastly different, and it gives them more to think about and talk about. You don't want it to just be a line of text and that's the same every week. You don't want to be like, you don't want like, let's say it's the first week of March and you're like, don't forget our show's coming up at the end of March. And then the next week you're like, don't forget our show's coming up in 3 weeks. And the next week you're like, now it's 2 weeks. Like don't do that. No one wants to read that. And so just, that's why having a strategy is really important. But I would agree, if you can add the variety in there, Scott, if you can create content that is new and fresh all the time, then absolutely create a calendar. That's what I do at work, and there's no better way. Plus, the benefit of a calendar is you can do it in advance. And if you need to make changes weeks in advance, it's no problem, as opposed to having to do it last minute. For who's taking ownership, this by far, and I will always use this, is my biggest tip for any social media platform, no matter what we're talking about. And I brought this up in my workshop in a district this past year, and I'll probably bring it up every freaking time we do this. Is who is doing social media posts for you? And first of all, do you have somebody? And two, if you do, is it one person or is it a team of people? And if it's a team, is there rhyme or reason behind what the team is doing so that there's no confusion? My recommendation, honestly, is one person. I think that's the best. But it's hard to do that because they have to commit to doing that, and they're taking full responsibility. At most, maybe 2 people. You do more than that, it gets messy. And I would also say that if you have a team of people, if you have 2 people doing it, having a calendar, like you said, Scott, is super important, because that way you both know who's posting what and when. But my opinion, if you can do one, if one person can go, I can do this, and I will post this many times a week, and I will commit to it, and I'll get it done. If they can do that, then that is the best case scenario. And the reason why is, one, I think it can be, and it probably should be, a one-person job to just post the content. I mean, maybe not create it. You can have a committee that makes the content, but one person to post. I think you only need one. And two, if something happens, if the ball is dropped, we know who to blame, honestly. So if I screw up for Space City, if I promise that I'm going to create an event page for us, for our show, and I don't, and we're a week late, then Travis can email me and go, what the hell, Dom? You said you'd do this. And now we're a week late on tickets. And I can go, crap, I totally screwed up. And I can apologize and then also address it immediately. As opposed to having 5 people who have access and we're like, wait a minute, who did what? Who screwed up? It was your fault. No, it was your fault. And it's just like not helpful. So ownership is huge. So just keep that in mind. And then 5, what's your budget? Especially for Facebook, this is huge. Plan to separate some of your marketing budget for social media, if anything for Facebook. I promise you, from my own experience on the job and also for Space City, there's only so much you can do with your organic audience, and you're gonna have to spend some money if you want to get more results. You just need it. Facebook has algorithms in place that make it really hard to have a big impact because they want to make money, and so you're gonna have to do that. It's okay if it's not a lot. I can tell you right now that Space City's last last event that we did. We did a guest night about a month ago. I only spent $100, which I think is really not a lot of money, for especially for a lot of courses that are older than us and that might have bigger budgets. And so I spent $100 and I ran that campaign for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And I can tell you right now that thanks to that ad campaign and the demographics I set up, we over doubled the RSVPs that we would have gotten if we hadn't paid. And to me, that's huge. It went from having probably maybe 70 people in total were referred. Roughly 70 people were referred by people by members in-house. And then maybe close to 80 people found us through ads. And so the fact that we doubled our potential turnout for guest night is huge. I think you guys would agree. And so don't drop the ball on ad budget. It's really important. Next up is a live demo of how you can set up your own page in case any of you are not sure and you'd like to have a better idea of how to do that. Before I do that, are there any questions about those top 5 things I was talking about just now?
I think it might be good if we have a little bit of time near the end just to talk a little bit more about how to use budget to promote via Facebook. We're running a little bit short on time on the presentation, so you might want to zip through this, but I do think it'd be good for us to come back and spend just a couple minutes to talk about like how do we use budget to promote and how do we use the advertising within Facebook and how can we do that effectively on a minimal amount of budget?
Sure. No, I agree. So I'll be quick with this demo. I'm probably not going to create an actual page all the way, but I'm going to show you how to navigate to Facebook and find that creating page link and just take you through the first preliminary categories to get your page set up. So let's go ahead and do that. So, but yes, like I said, I have a lot of content to cover, and I apologize for maybe not being the least wordy person ever. I tend to be kind of wordy, but it's a lot to cover. So when you go to a page, let's say you go to your Facebook page for the first time. You're on your personal profile. On the left here, you're going to see a list of buttons, and on the top, I don't know if it'll be the same for you, but for me, the first one is Pages. You're going to click on that, and at the top right of this Pages page, you'll see Create a Page. You're going to click on that. And you'll start off by having 2 options, business or brand, or community or public figure. This can be tough to know what's best for you. It does have a bit of a description here for what's best. I think I find that community or public figure is the best choice for a nonprofit like us. But you might decide that this is the right choice for you. I think it doesn't hugely matter as long as the subcategories are accurate to what you are. But I think community or public page is the right choice. So click Getting Started. Okay. And then from there, you're going to type in your page name and your category. So if I were to say, let's make up something, let's go the Facebook webinar chorus airs. That's our chorus name. And then we're going to click on, it's funny is it says it's invalid, which is probably the reason why. Let's see. If anything happens where it says you can't use the name, all you got to do is click. Oh, I know why. It's because the word Facebook's in it. That's why. So let's do FB instead. I bet you that'll work. Yep. So Facebook doesn't want you creating pages that represent themselves. So change it to FB. FB webinar course airs is our course name. Click on category. There's a little bit of a description here for what the category means. But if I were to type in music, that'll pop up. Yep, musician band. That's one category. You could also do like what's the chorus? Yeah, chorus, but no. Okay, so we could say like choir, maybe. There we go, choir. So that's probably the best one for us, right? You put your address in, your city, state, your zip code, your phone number, and then you click continue. It actually requires me to put something, so I'm just going to put some dummy stuff here. Let's see. Let's do Houston, Texas. I'll put my zip code, phone number. We'll just put some dummy numbers, and then we click continue. Actually, I'll put my phone numbers to make it easier, because clearly it needs me to do everything right just to demo this. It's so dumb. 259. Okay, continue. And when you click continue, it will, it takes a second to load, but I think it should create the page, or at least go to the next page. Let's see what it does. Yep, already. So I'll have to remember to delete this page after, but it gives you a couple options. It says, add your profile photo, which I just skipped it, but if you click on it, you can upload a photo. Then you click on upload a cover photo as well. And then when you do that, if you upload both of them, it'll automatically populate, and your profile photo will be here, your cover photo will be here as well. You also, when you create this page, if you want to get some work done on it before actually having it go live, you can click on settings at the top. And this is a really cool feature. Click on settings and go to page publish is the first option. Click on edit, and you can actually make it unpublished so people can't find it. And this is a great opportunity to potentially get some work done on it without people having to find it and notice that it's not finished. So you click the reason here, you say the page isn't finished yet, and you click next. And then you say, what do you need to finish your page? And you just, you click some of these tabs to show, what you need to finish first, and then you click unpublish. And so now the page is active for you, but nobody else can see it. And so you can go in and do the changes necessary. But if I were to go back to page here, if I had uploaded a photo for cover photo and for profile photo, it would be here. You also can click on add a cover. And you can choose to actually use a video even if you want. So for Space City, you do that. We actually use a video clip of us syncing a tag. And all you need to do is click on a little button in the bottom right corner. That's the volume button, and it'll automatically turn the audio on, and you can hear us syncing a tag, which is really cool. So I highly recommend considering that as an option too for a cover photo. And then of course you can upload a photo anytime through here as well. And if I don't have any posts here yet, but once you start posting, I can go like, hey there, we're the FB webinar Corsairs. Happy to be on Facebook. I don't know, something like that, And this is a post that I would do, maybe something like this after you invite people. So after your account's all set up, your profile photos are all good, put your bio, you filled everything out, then you can go ahead and post like a first, kind of hello greeting. But to do all that about page stuff, you're going to click on about, and you're going to fill out this information. And I would fill out as much as you can with as many details as possible. And this all should happen probably before your page goes live. So my point to showing you this process is, for one thing, it was crazy fast to create a page, very easy. And two, make sure that you set it all up properly before you invite people. When you are ready to invite people, that's a pretty easy process as well. Let's see here if I can get back to the home page. I apologize. My internet's slow because of the call, I think. So there you go. It's loading. We'll see. I was going to try to show you guys how to share. I guess I can do it here, actually. So if you want to share the page, one option is you click share. And you can just post about it on your own profile. You can also post about it in groups and other places, in private messages, that sort of thing. But another option you have is if you click on this 3-dot button, you can like it as other pages you might run. You can also go ahead and create an ad. And I think if you click on like, it might change your functions here. Let's see here. There is a way to do it. I'm having trouble finding it at this point, but there's also a way to invite people to like your page like really fast. I forget how to do it. Or it might be that, actually, I think Facebook may have changed their rules because I think they got a little spammy. So they didn't want it to be really easy for you to just invite like thousands of people at once. That used to be a feature we have. I think you can do that for event pages. You can't do it for Facebook. So I think the best way to share your page otherwise is probably going to be the share button. There might also be I can't show it right now, but on the Facebook page itself, I think there might be a page that opens, a little bubble that opens up that says, people that might like your page, and it's like friends of yours that might be interested, and you can click on invite, manually through those. But I don't think you can actually invite like 100 people at once anymore, unfortunately. But that's basically it. I mean, it's very simple to create it. I think the hard part is just sticking to it, is taking ownership, sticking to a plan, and keeping it up to date, ongoing. Let me go back to the presentation now, and I'll make sure to delete that page later. 1 second. Let's see. Where the heck is that? Oh, it's PowerPoint. Here we go. All right, so I'll click on side. So I know we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to try to blast through this next part. My recommendation would be for these next 2 slides, because there's a lot of bullet points, maybe just write them down. I won't necessarily go through them all, or just take a look at the video later on. But basically, what I've created for you here is, a list of how you can spread the word about your Facebook page that maybe is outside of those traditional ways that I just showed you. And so, I'll just blast through them. So, like, shorten your URL, and that basically means taking your URL from your Facebook page and changing it from like that long list of characters that might pop up the first time, and editing that URL so that you can potentially make it really simple. So for instance, Space City's Facebook page is facebook.com/Space City Sound, as opposed to like space cities, well, et cetera, and a bunch of numbers. Because every time you create a Facebook page, I think the original URL is not that. So make sure that your URL is short and sweet and concise. And actually, I have a link here that can show how to customize that username. And so if any
can you show us the page you just created so they can see what that auto-generated link looks like? Sure.
So let's see. Unless Facebook changed their policy and they fixed that problem, but it used to be a problem for me. Yeah, here it is. So it's still a problem. So you'll see here that that's not ideal, right? You don't want to tell somebody to go look that up. Type in FB-webinars-course-numbers. That's not fun. But I actually have a link here. If I go back to the PowerPoint right here, learn how to customize your page's username here. So if I were to, let's see. I think it worked. Let me see. Hopefully it copied properly. Let's see. Actually, I might need to do it through my play current slide. 1 second. Oh, it's not working for me. I thought I copied the URL, but I didn't. But what I'll say is it's really easy to find. Just look up online how to shorten your Facebook page URL. It's really easy to find. It's on Facebook's like FAQ, and it's a pretty fast process. But make sure you do that if you're going to create a page from scratch.
And once we get done and we post this to YouTube, we probably could add those links into the comments section on YouTube.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to send those over to you, Scott, to make sure that we have those. But yeah, so shorten your URL. Next up, invite your friends, and I kind of touched on that a little bit, but it's really important. Make sure that you are inviting your friends, both word of mouth wise and also online. That's going to make a big difference. And the way I see it is, there isn't a social media manager in the world, even from a business perspective, who hasn't used their own personal networks to get more likes. We all do it. We all invite the people we know first, and it's once you have that audience secured, is when the new people that are brand new to us are going to start finding us. I can tell you right now that there's no way that some of our newest members in Space City would have found our Facebook page without us having like 1,000 people following us on Facebook already. But that's a huge thing. Put it in your signature. So if you use email a lot, and if you're proud of that, and if you're in a leadership role at your course, put your Facebook page in your signature for all your emails, because then anybody that communicates with you can find your Facebook page every time you send an email. That's going to be really, really effective. Embed your URL. So what this means is put your URL in other places that you guys live. So if you're on Twitter, also if you're on Instagram, if you have a website, make sure your Facebook page is listed everywhere else. It's really, really important. Next up, be social. I think Scott touched on a little bit, but it's really important. Like for being social. Okay, I have a note here. I have to leave myself. So excuse me, rephrase that. Be social online. So if you have a Facebook page and you want more people from other barbershop pages to follow you, the best thing you can do is to act as your page and actually comment on content from other pages. I know Marchman has done this. Space City has done this. It's super effective. So if you see like the local majority post a new video and you love it and you want to kind of grab some of their engagement, right? You want to try to get people to know that you exist by utilizing this video, leave a comment on there or share the video on your own page. And suddenly you'll pop up in the feed of engagement that VM created. And people might go, oh, there's another course I might like. And they click on it and they go, oh my God, it's actually only 20 minutes away. I might go and visit the rehearsal. But they only found that because you commented on somebody else's page. So it's really important to be social with other accounts.
A good rule of thumb just along those lines, and I know you know this, Tom, but I'll just mention it. A good rule of thumb with your content on your page or when you're dealing with other out in social media is to spend 80% of your posts or 80% of your time talking about other or promoting other things and linking to other things, and only 20% of the time talking about yourself, because then you're actually adding something to social commentary.
Sure, I don't know if that's necessarily it sounds fine to me. I don't know if that ratio is the best possible ratio, but I would agree with you in that it's important to differentiate and not make it me all the time. Like, it's really important. Like I try to do that with Space City. it can be tough sometimes because you'll realize that you haven't posted in 2 weeks. And you'll go, oh man, I got to post something. And you need to post the event for the show. And they go, all right, I haven't posted about etc. in a while, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep posting about us because we need this up. But if you can commit to being very diverse, then that's great. I totally agree. And supporting other musical endeavors is really key. New Tradition Chorus is a great example of a course that does that. So check out their page again if you want to see some examples of how they kind of spotlight other barbershop-related stuff. Be active in groups. So there are tons of Facebook groups out there on social media that's related to barbershop. There's tons of groups about just music in general, about singing, music education. Explore those options. Explore the groups that are out there and try to post about events and membership opportunities in these groups. And you'd be surprised what you can find. Actually, one of our most recent guests that came to guest night, his name is I think his name is Victor. He sang barbershop a little bit in high school, but he didn't sing much outside of that. And believe it or not, he saw me post about our guest night in the Barbershop Tags Facebook group, and that's why he came to guest night. So it does work. Next up, promote offline. This is big too. If you're at an event and you can possibly have a table up, whether it's district or a show, have a table up and have a flyer that has your social media listed, especially Facebook. Maybe even get a big banner made, and on the banner, make your Facebook icon on there. Or same with any other network as well. That's huge because you might get some people that are not as social media savvy, but they join social media just to be active with you. So definitely use that to your advantage. Like your page. This is a huge thing. I have guys in my course that still, like this week, will suddenly like the Facebook page for Space City. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? I talk about this every week. Why haven't you liked our page yet? So make sure that you are liking your page as well, and you personally are interacting with the content. So, for instance, a lot of people may know that I'm a social media manager for Space City, but some people may not. And engagement is engagement. So I might post as Space City, but then immediately after, I might go ahead and like that post as myself. Because, it's fine. There's no rules. It's it's not going to be looked down upon to do that. And it gives you more engagement on your posts. And it also reminds people that, oh, you're also a human. You're not just an organization. You are also active on social media as yourself. I think it's important to do both. So don't be afraid to engage with your page as yourself. Cross promote. This is huge. Find opportunities to partner with other organizations and promote them and have them promote you. Marksman and Space City are great about that. I've shared videos of Marksman. They've shared things of ours, and it's super helpful. You don't even, if you want to have some kind of open agreement, that's fine too. But honestly, you don't even need to have that. Just be active. Just be supportive. If Marksman posts some really cool accolade, that is a big deal. I'm going to share that because Space City is excited for them. And I hope vice versa. So keep that in mind, when you're creating content, and also, actually, this is huge too. It's a great opportunity to have more to post, honestly. So if you're out of things to post that week, but if you notice something else cool happened, somebody else, you're like, oh, great, I'm going to use that. And you just post and now you're done for the week. So, I think that's really key. Anything to add there, Scott, from the Marksman perspective? Cool. And then next, create engaging content. This is obviously broad, but it's important. So make sure the content you're creating is engaging. If you post something and you don't get any responses, and then you do it again a few weeks later and you still don't get any responses, maybe don't post that again. Be that critical of your stuff. It's really important. Now, luckily, I think we have a lot of family members and friends that are supportive, and they might like anything we post. But if anything specifically just doesn't do well, maybe phase it out. Try something new. And then lastly, advertise. So we hopefully will have time to talk about that a little bit in more depth in a few minutes. But this is huge. At the end of the day, you're only going to get so far with organic content. You're going to have to spread an ad budget, and that can be ads to put your page in more feeds. It can be ads to events you have coming up. It can be a number of different things that you can spend money on. But it's really key with Facebook. You definitely want to find some of your budget for Facebook ads. It's only going to help. And then last slide here. How can you get the most out of your new or current Facebook page? And so these are just a set of tips that I would recommend you take a look at. I'm going to just blast through having them all here so you guys can have as much time as possible to take a look at them. But is that it? Yeah, there's 12 things. So these are really key tips for how you can get the most out of your Facebook page that I think people a lot of the time don't think about. So there's like posting often and being reliable, and not but not enough to be spammy. Make sure you have great photos that are eye-catching and memorable. Try not to let mistakes happen, and if they do, take care of them as soon as possible. Remove them or edit them ASAP. Add a call to action button. So at the top of the page, there's a button you can add to your Facebook page that allows you to put your website. So do that, or if you have a ticketing link, put that in there. Or it's actually two things. It's one, it's for the Facebook page, have a website link, and then for your event pages, have a ticketing link. It's really important that you have a call to action on everything you do.
This kind of goes back to the strategy. You want to make sure, what are we trying to get out of our Facebook page? And if your idea here is to try to get people to shows, then you want to give them an opportunity that they see.
Yeah.
That they can learn more about your shows. You need to give them an easy way to get to that. If your ideal is membership, then you want to make sure you give them an opportunity to take an action. It's very obvious what that action is.
Right. No, I totally agree. 100%. Next up, we talked about a little bit about filling out your about page with your basic info. This is huge. And try to do that before you launch the page. Adding your milestones and awards that your organization has received is huge. So for Marksman, they just won district. That's a huge thing to talk about. They also got 13th place in the world in Orlando, which is and their highest score ever at district also. So like stuff like that is really awesome stuff to share with the rest of the world. And don't be afraid to do that on the Facebook page. Leverage Facebook's targeting tools. So when you post content, you can actually edit the demographics that they target. And that's actually organic. It's not even ad-based. So this is huge. So while it's important to have good demographics for your ads, you can actually target your content as well that has no ads behind it. So don't forget to do that. It's a little target button that pops up on the bottom of your post. It's a little like almost like a sniper icon. So click on that, and you can break down the demographics for your posts. Let's see. Pin important posts at the top of the page. This is huge. If you have an event coming up, like a guest night or a show, and I would recommend pinning that post at the top of your page. That way, whenever you post again, it does not make that post go away. It keeps it at the top so that people will always find it when you come back and they want to potentially buy tickets or RSVP. Turn on private messages. Some people don't like this, but I like it. I think turning on your messages feature on Facebook is important because it allows people to not only message about questions about visiting rehearsals, but it also allows them to ask questions about tickets for shows. And so some people don't want to call, some people don't want to email. So I think having a messaging feature in Facebook is really key. It's really the fastest and easiest way for people to ask questions. So I would definitely turn that feature on. It's a feature you can turn on in your settings of your Facebook page. Next, try to respond to every engagement, even if it's just a like. So if somebody if somebody comments on a post, like that comment. Don't ignore it. Like, react to it somehow. If you can comment back, that's great. You don't have to always comment, but respond in some way because it gives them a sense of confirmation. It makes them happy to see that you're reading their stuff, and it makes them want to come back and do it again. So really, just react to everything. There's never enough. Turn on notifications. I think Pete brought this up to me via a Facebook message. There is a way to do this. I actually have a link here, Peter, that will explain how to set up notifications. It's pretty easy, but you can set them up for Facebook pages, and we'll provide that link along with that private messages link in the recording. So just look out for that, Pete. But it explains how to do it. And then to explain that, in case you don't know, Pete wanted to know how to create notifications that can actually send to your text messages and and potentially your email, so that you can know when people respond to your Facebook page. And that's a great question. And so there is a way to do that. So just look out for that link in the description for the recording. And then lastly, measure your success. A lot of people forget that Facebook is a marketing software. It has analytics in the administrative panel. of the site itself. And so you can actually take a look at like bar charts and line graphs that show, how well your engagement's doing. And you can, and that compares all your posts in a big list. And you can kind of get a sense of what's working and what's not working. And this is super huge. I mean, I have for Space City, we have we communicate using Slack. It's a messaging software that is used by a lot of businesses. And we have a marketing channel. And when I'm doing events and I'm putting ad budget behind it, I'm taking screenshots all the time, and I'm sending updates on our ads to the leadership in marketing. And I'm saying, yo, like look at this, like our RSVPs are doing great. Our click-through rate is great. And I'm showing them what's working and what could be better, and I'm tweaking as I go, and I'm making it a conversation in case they might have ideas to how to improve. So measure your success. Don't just post and let it go. Take a look at your results too. And that's basically it. We hopefully now have some time for questions. I'm happy to stay a little bit longer than we talked about, but hopefully we can do it.
Yeah, well, let's leave your contact information up here for just a little bit and talk about a couple things. One thing I'd like to ask about is how important is reach, and more specifically, where do you get your best bang for the buck? Do you get that through posts, through photos, through events, through videos?
Sure.
Talk a little bit about reach and then how to optimize that.
Sure. So reach, in case I'm assuming some of you guys don't know, excuse me, for reach, it's basically defined as the amount of people that could have seen your posts is basically what reach is. And so if you make a post and it says that reach was 568, then you know that it could have been seen by that many people, which means that it showed up in someone's feed. One of 568 people at least passed by it. It doesn't mean they read it, and it doesn't mean they clicked on it, but it means that they could have seen it. And so I think that reach is really important, personally, especially on Facebook, because it's a great way to evaluate how good your content is. Because if you, for instance, I can run an ad, and I see that my reach at the end of the ad is something like, I don't know, let's say my reach is like 150,000, which is like, I don't know if that's a lot for Space City, but it's pretty common for like a business. So like 150,000 people could have seen my ad. Out of that, people that saw it, it got, let's say, 10,000 views. So only 10,000 people actually viewed the content. The rest of them just let it pass by. And out of 10,000, maybe 2,500 actually clicked on it. Okay, and so I think it's really good to understand the difference between those responses, and understand how much you need to get in reach just to get good results in views and clicks. So I do think it's important to keep in mind, but I would not be, but I would also warn you to know exactly what reach means, because some people might think that, oh, getting it 100,000 reach is like amazing, but it's like, well, it's good, but if you got a bunch of reach, but the likes and the clicks are super low, then there's a reason why people are not clicking on it. There's a reason why it's not working. And so I think it's also potentially a constructive learning opportunity is understanding how much reach you got compared to how many clicks or views you got.
So if you're promoting a show, for instance, does it make sense to try to promote that only geographically in your region? Or should you promote it very widespread, knowing that people who are outside of your region may share it, even though they can't attend the show?
Oh, I'm sorry, my dog barked. Are you good? My dog freaked out. Sorry, that scared me. My answer to your question is it depends. So I would say that because we are a global hobby, it's not a bad thing for somebody in like Ireland to like our posts. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. In fact, to give you an idea, we had 4 guys from the UK visit our guest night this past month because there was a barber shopper among them who was coming to Houston on business for a week, of all things, and so he actually came and brought his coworkers to guest night. So I don't want to limit the global reach, but I will say that with also the caveat of I think there's a time and place for targeted, closer to home reach. So, for instance, for shows where you're selling tickets, I would not spend a lot of money investing in like cities more than probably 20 to 30 miles from you. Probably not. Unless you're a huge course like VM that has a lot of notoriety. In general, I would probably say stick to a roughly 30-mile radius surrounding your city for ticket sales, because you probably won't see results farther than that. Plus, the smaller the range, the more the money you're spending will go into that range. So if you're only targeting the San Antonio area for marksmen, then the money you're spending is going to be probably best utilized, for that area. Does that make sense? Cool. But yeah, that's my answer. Is maybe I would say, unless you have some crazy cool global announcement, maybe focus your ad budget on local stuff, and then but don't be afraid to target globally with organic stuff, if that makes sense. Cool. Any other ad related questions?
Yeah, just one question about ads, or at least I would ask, just, what's the difference between, when you talk about placing it, are we talking about placing like a display ad of some sort, or is this just simply promoting a post, or what are the various options available to promote?
Sure.
Budget, and second of all, how much money are we talking about? Sure.
And that's a great question. And to be fair, we totally could spend an entire hour on just ads. So like that might happen down the line for one of our webinar sessions. So look out for that, guys, if we decide to do that. But the answer to the question is that there's a lot of options, and it can be overwhelming. And so my first recommendation would be to use your resources. Go online and look up some videos about Facebook ads and watch them. It's very beneficial. I've done this. I've done that. I've had to learn myself over the years, and there's a lot of free resources out there. Facebook even has some resources that you can use, like some learning material on their site. You can use. But you can use display ads. You can boost your posts. You can boost your event pages. You can boost. What else have we done? You can do both video and photo based ads. My recommendation is for all this stuff is to try a combination of things and do A/B testing. Figure out what works. And from my experience, videos tend to be the best, but it might be different for you for some reason. I think it's also important to know what you guys are best at and capitalize on that. So, for instance, if you guys can take great photos, but you just can't take good videos for some reason, maybe you don't have a good camera, maybe you don't have someone that can do that, like skill-wise. Maybe don't post videos because you don't want to give people a bad taste in their mouth, And I would capitalize on what you're good at. So, but if the photos are great, then post a shit ton of photos. Excuse my French, but use a lot of photos. And then let's see. What I would say is knowing which one is best for you is just going to take experimentation. Honestly, there's no hard or fast truth. With Space City, it's been an experiment. I am finding that I have to. For us, I think what's best for us is to boost a post and accompany it with a video. So either boost a video alone, or for like an event page, I will make the cover image for the event page a video. And then I will use that video in the ad. So when it comes across somebody's feed, it's us singing and nothing else. And I might not even include, I might include text on screen, but I actually don't even use any talking. I find that talking can be distracting and people can get bored very easily. On social media, people are like this. They have a very, very short attention span. And I would say it's fine to do a promotional video that has talking, but maybe don't put ad budget behind that. I would create a longer video to promote your event, and just make that organic and just share it out and have your members share it. But for an ad, you want it to be probably no longer than 30 seconds. You probably want it to have no dialogue, and you want it to have music in the background. If you don't have a good quality audio of your chorus singing, then honestly, I would reach out to a quartet or another chorus and see if you can use their audio instead. Or if there's audio that has been marked as usable by VHS. I don't know if they do that, but if they do, then maybe use that instead. It's just you want the best first impression, for your course. Does that make sense? Absolutely does. Cool. One final question, and then we'll wrap this up. Can you just explain real quickly, for those who don't understand, it's probably a bigger deal on Twitter than on Facebook, but I'd like you to at least explain hashtags a little bit and how to use them and the importance of them? Sure. That's a great question. So my first my first response to that is, if you don't think you can use hashtags properly, just don't use them. That's my first recommendation. Is too many people just use them to use them, and they don't know what they're doing, and I think it looks really unprofessional.
Well, real quick for the uninitiated, what is a hashtag?
Sure. So a hashtag is basically anytime you see on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, when you see someone do the number sign, the numerical sign, and then like a word, like a phrase, all in one. It's usually, depending on the platform, it's clickable. So it theoretically it should look like a link, and you can click on it, and it links you to somewhere else. And what it links you to is it links you to a feed of content on that channel that uses that hashtag. And so basically, hashtags are essentially words or phrases that you can put on your content so that it categorizes it into a feed of content that's similar, that has used that hashtag in the past. So for instance, for New Tradition Course, they use that hashtag, I think it was like WeAreNT or something like that. And if you click on that hashtag, or if you search for that hashtag, you'll only see posts, theoretically, that feature it. And it's going to be all membership-related posts about NT, which is really cool because then you've created a custom experience for your course that nobody else can use, you know? And then the other set of hashtags is more general, vague hashtags. So if you are tagging your posts with a ton of hashtags, as long as they're relevant and you use them in the right way, it can be super helpful. To give you an example, let me actually exit the slideshow, and really quickly I'll show you how Space City uses hashtags, and we don't use them. We use them pretty much only on Instagram, and I find that Instagram and Twitter are really the best places to use hashtags. I think it's okay to use them on Facebook, but in general, I don't do it because you actually can't track hashtags on Facebook because of their privacy functions. You can use them, and as long as the post is public, it'll show up. But if it's a private post, you won't see the post. So it can be kind of it can sometimes hurt you. But for Facebook, right in the bio, I use hashtag HTX, hashtag acapella. So immediately, we are thrown into a feed of accounts that are similar to Houston and acapella. And so that gives us a lot of good notoriety. If you click on this one here, our most recent post, we performed before Decapella a few weeks ago. And I wanted to capitalize upon Decapella's notoriety and also just general like music and choir and acapella. So what I did was I used a few hashtags in the description, but then I did a couple line breaks here. And I just put a ton of hashtags related to the location of the event, music, acapella, barbershop, et cetera, et cetera. And so now, anytime somebody searches for these hashtags, this post shows up in that feed. And what I do for myself is I have a note page on my phone that is just that list of hashtags, and I save it. And I go in and I copy and paste that every time I post on Instagram. Every time. And like clockwork, I will get some likes from people that are not following us. We only have 232 followers, but we have 45 people that like this post. I guarantee you at least half of them are not following us. And it's because I made hashtags. So I definitely recommend doing it, but make sure that they have purpose behind it. Make sure you know why you're doing it. And I would say invest the time in probably places like Twitter and Instagram and maybe not Facebook is my recommendation. Does that help?
I'm sure it's easy to find references out there online because I know that hashtags have not been as big of a thing on Facebook as they have on the other two platforms.
Right.
But they are something that that do get asked about.
Sure.
I don't have any other questions queued up, so we will go on ahead and wrap this up, and then later today I will get this video posted to our YouTube channel, and I will send out the link to that video via the email thread that I was responding to earlier, was sending out via earlier. And there is a comment section at the bottom. I will get some of these links from Dom and get those posted into the footer on that page. And then if anyone has questions, follow-up questions, they certainly can ask in the comments there. Or Dom has, you'll be able to go back a couple minutes there and see Dom's contact information if you want to reach out to him directly. So thank you everyone for attending. Dom, this has been great. And I'm sure we'll probably have future sessions where we'll cover up on some other topics. But thanks everybody for joining, and have a great day.
Yes, thanks guys. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it.